Hi, I'm Susan Fraser. I'm one of the artists at the Valley Artisan Cooperative here in Deep River, Ontario. And one of the things I make is Southernwood Sachets. When I first came across Southernwood, it was when I managed a garden center in Nova Scotia, and it was promoted as a deer repellent to keep the deer out of your vegetable gardens because it grows into a shrub about this tall. And I really like the fragrance of it on a hot sunny day. It really exuded a wonderful complicated fragrance of lemons and lavender and thyme, and many fragrances are wrapped up in the Southernwood. And then that led me to discover that Southernwood is used in the perfume industry in France. So I liked it even better. When I was visiting Fortress Louisbourg in Nova Scotia, they grew it in their heritage garden and made it into sachets. This would be an example of a sachet with the herb tucked inside. And they put them in the wardrobe closets to keep moths from eating their clothing. It also repels fleas, so they would have it around their beds as well. All this repelling is because it's related to wormwood, which is what they use to make the liqueur absinthe over in France. So you might be familiar with that. So further down in time, when I got here to Deep River, and bed bugs became a problem in Canada and the US, then I discovered that Southernwood also repels bed bugs. So I started making the sachets to put in luggage, because once you put it into your suitcase, that wonderful fragrance permeates the suitcase, and the bed bugs want nothing to do with it. They will avoid getting anywhere near your suitcase. So that's great, because you don't want to bring them home in your suitcases and have the infestation get into your house, because that's a real problem. So it's just a wonderful fragrance. You won't mind having it in your suitcase, and it's a great little product. So I'm just going to do some sewing here so you can see how I make them. I do a bit of a production. I sew all these little pockets together. These are bits of fabric that are left from other projects. This salmony pink was from a curtain I had made, and so I had leftover fabric, and my girlfriend Bonnie, who's also an artist at the Valley Artisan Co-op, had given me some of her fabric left over from projects. So I sew them together in a chain and then snip them apart. And then I use my wonderful little sewer's awl to help me flip them. I tuck their ears through and then bring the bottom through, and then use my wooden awl to poke out the corners. And I get a nice little pocket. So I take my little pockets and I put the Southernwood herb. I closed it up right here. There we go. This is the herb that I harvested. I grow the Southernwood shrubs on my property, and at the end of the season I will harvest the branches. And since it is a shrub, there's woody branches. So I harvest them and then dry them. I just lay them out on this cotton fabric and let them dry. And then I strip the leaves off of the woody branches. And when they're all stripped and they're ready to go into the sachets, and I don't put any filler in the sachet, the only thing that's in the sachet is the herb. So I fill one side And then open up the other pocket and put 2 spoonfuls in there. And sew it up. The sewing machine I got when I was 16 years old, a Sears Kenmore. Traveled around the world with it. And they last for 3 years. I've had them, I can still smell them after 3 years, but I want to replace them. They're just not as strong. So sometimes I just leave the old ones in there and just add a new one because they don't take up very much room in your luggage. I've put them in my dog's bed when she came back from visiting a friend and ended up with some fleas, and it drove the fleas out. It's a good little insurance to keep bed bugs from coming into your home, because that's a very expensive proposition to have bed bugs infest your home. You have to have a company come in and fumigate. So they make good little stocking stuffers, a little add-on gift. I brought these with me from Nova Scotia when I moved here because I had heard that Deep River had a lot of deer. So I knew I wanted a vegetable garden I didn't want deer to get into. So I planted them around the vegetable garden, and they did stay out of my garden. The bears don't bother with it though. They don't repel bears. I had a bear chase me out of the tomatoes because he wanted my tomatoes. I've made it into soap before. After we had the incident with the fleas, and I made Southernwood soap, which is very gentle for my dog. I made them into big pillows because when I went to the Caribbean, I wanted to make sure the bed was not going to have any problems, because we were in some 5-star hotels here in Ottawa and had gotten bit by bed bugs. So I thought, I'm not going to have them ruin my vacation, so I made them into some bigger. That is one of the things you can be concerned about, is when your luggage travels on the conveyor belts in the airports. You don't know what's in the luggage right next to yours. So if your luggage has that fragrance, nothing's going to hop off of someone else's luggage onto yours. So it gives you some safety there while it's traveling in the hold of the airplane. It's a shrub, and it's a perennial, so it comes back every year, and I harvest about 1.5 foot off of it every year. There's different varieties of southernwood. The one they had at Fortress Louisburg grew to be about 5 feet tall. Mine grows about 3.5, 4 feet. It's dried now for, that's been dried for a full year because it's February and I harvested it last fall, so I guess it's not a full year. I harvest it and I put it on the cotton sheet, and then I just leave it in the breezeway, our woodshed, where the breezes can get to it, but the sun doesn't get to it, so that's why it's still got a lot of the green.
Hi again. I'm working here at the Valley Artisan Co-op. I'm the artist on duty today. Just finishing up putting my Southernwood Sachets in their packaging, and just wanted to mention the Southernwood herb is locally grown and harvested here in Deep River, Ontario, Canada. The sachets are available for purchase here at the Valley Artisan Co-op, also online at valleyartisans.com. Thank you for watching our video on making the Southernwood Sachets. Good day.